What happens under the strict foreclosure process? In this video, we're going to talk about what happens under the strict foreclosure process. Say that 10 times, okay? We're going to show you how this works. This is a unique thing that's not used a whole lot, but I've got a couple of questions on it, so let's cover it anyways. You know, not very many states allow this, but basically what you're looking at, and I'm going to go through all of this, you're going to find that this is not a bad way to set up a mortgage if it's a short-term deal where you're not really sure on the reliability of the borrower. I'm just saying, so that you can go in there and say, hey, this is a really quick way. It is exactly what it sounds like. It's very strict. No going out, no drinking. You have to have a chaperone, all of those things on there. So a strict foreclosure process, and stick around to the very end, okay? I got a little bonus for those of you on how to utilize this. It's pretty cool, actually. So what it is a strict foreclosure process begins when a borrower fails to meet the payment obligations on their mortgage. The lender must determine the borrower has defaulted on the loan, and they can initiate the legal proceedings immediately and avoid any public sales. So the whole notice of default, DOE, all of those things, what is it, NED, you know, some of those acronyms that you use out there that are all these stop gaps to help somebody in the case of them not being able to make the payments. Now, most states are not going to allow this because this is pretty aggressive, but I kind of like it in a scenario where somebody's borrowing money from me for another project and they're putting this property up at collateral, and I'm going, dude, if I go into foreclosure, I don't need you to fight me for 6 months. If I go into foreclosure, we're using the strict method, means I can go to court, and if I can prove that you haven't made your payment, the judge can order it, not even go to sale, it's my property. Now, during that process, just like anything else, if I file this notification, I've got to notify you that I'm doing this because you haven't made your payment. And you're going to have about 30 days. That's it to bring everything up in the current. And I can determine if I want to stop this. You know, so again, this is allowed up in the Northeast areas of very, very old rules on this, Connecticut and Vermont. Most states require an auction. The speed and efficiency of these is good, cost savings, direct owner transfer is on this. You got a clear title. It's very, very clean on that. So you want to check your rules in your area, and that's what you're looking at. Look, if you're lending money to somebody, my scenario exactly, they have a property they own free and clear. They want me to lend them some money on that property because they're doing another project. You want to put as many restrictions on that as possible, because if they default, they can drag this out for a while. And as you've seen some of my other videos on foreclosures, you know, you got to follow the process, but a foreclosure on a minimum is going to take 6 months. And that means your money's tied up for that 6 months and it's not earning anything. So this is the reason a lot of people just don't like lending money, or they want a lot of equity in the property. They're only doing, 70% LTVs. You got to have a lot of history. So for instance, if I'm going into, Waka Waka, USA, I've got a property that I paid $50,000 for. I need $75,000 to fix up the property. I go to a private investor and go, look, I'll give you a point and 12%. They give me the money. I've got experience. I've done it before. And I borrow that money and the property is worth $250,000. They're covered. They can wait a little bit because they're going to get a $250,000 valued property. So it's, again, risk and reward. I'm going to lend them the money at 12%. They've got to have a lot of experience. They've showed a history of doing this and paying back. But if they don't, I've got a $250,000 property underlying security. So again, I'm okay with being without that money for 6 to 7 months, where I can potentially take that money and blow it up. So the question you say is, well, why would I borrow money on this? And it's a really good question. And to me, it's a very natural response. Why would I not? So if in that scenario, let's keep some numbers really even. Let's say I bought a property at auction for $50,000, and let's say it needed $100,000 to fix up. Okay, I can write a check, buy the property, fix it up for $100,000, but I just tied up $100,000 in the rehab of that property. That means I can't take that money and do another deal. Or I can borrow the money, from private investor Joe Schmo, Susie Q, okay, and I can borrow that $100,000 And at 12, well, you're paying 12. It's like saying I don't want to buy 2x4s because I have to pay for them. I could just grow the trees myself and mill the wood and have my own 2x4s. That doesn't make any sense. That 12% over a 6-month or so period of time, again, you're going to equate that in your evaluator and say, how much is it going to cost me to borrow that $100,000? Figure out the time span and go, oh, it's $6,000. I'm not borrowing it for 30 years. In the meantime, had I not done that and I'd used my $100,000, okay, to buy that, it would have been tied up. I don't do that and I buy another property with that $100,000. I got $100,000 in profit over here. I got $100,000 in profit over here, but that only to double dip on that only cost me $6,000 in interest on this side over here. Hopefully I didn't go too fast with that, but I mean, that's why I wouldn't want to just tie up all my money. It always cracks me up because I see people that go, oh, I don't like borrowing money. Okay, then don't. Okay, you're going to slowly get there. I get it. The only scenario that doesn't make sense is if the market's on a way down. I'm going to pull out anyways. I don't know. I just can't see. If I'm borrowing $100,000 and the value of this property is $250,000, I've got $100,000 equity. I'm going to be okay. Even if the market collapses like it did that one time, I was way in the money on this. And, you know, and then this over here, I've got $100,000 on this property. I've just got a potential of making a couple $100,000 in the same time frame that I only made 100 with the other. That's why you'd want to double dip. And again, it's just the cost of borrowing money. The problem is we've been taught that borrowing is bad. Well, yeah, I'm not going to go out there and get a credit card and, you know, go to Las Vegas and have a good time. Well, here's another thing. Let's talk about credit cards. I could even do that, okay? Let's say I need $50,000 to rehab. I could literally get a 0% credit card, have that freed up for that project. Let's say I have two of them. Let's say I got $25,000 limits on both of those. 0%, probably 18 to 24 months depending on the specials, right? So what I'm doing is I'm paying for all my supplies with a 0% card. And I'm getting points probably. So I get to stay at the St. Regis in Rome, which I have before, on points for free. Okay, that's not a bad way to do it. And the money is free. So now when I get done with the deal, it's now worth this. I can pull out an equity line to pay off that $50,000 and you're good to go that way. I sell the property, I pay it off, I'm good to go that way. There are so many different ways that we can skin this cat. It's unbelievable. So don't get hooked into, I don't want to borrow money on the property. But if I am lending on the property and you happen to be in an area that can do a strict foreclosure on that process, not many of them do that, but you have to find out if you're allowed to write a contract that way. It does eliminate the process of having to go through a 6 to 9 month foreclosure on it. So it's not a bad way to do it. This all comes down to this. You have to know what you're doing. You have to get the skill sets so you can do this stuff. You know, just like I'm rattling, just sitting on the stairs, getting ready to go. I'll be up there in a minute. Go up and get some dinner and I can just rattle this off. So you got to go get the skill sets. If you want the skill sets, look, I got a little booklet on tax lien certificates. It's probably some of my best work. I'll give it to you. Okay, just go to the link down below. Hit that link in there and I'll send you out a free booklet on how tax liens and tax deeds can make you and your family a lot of money. This is Saen Higgins saying God bless, good luck, and we'll see you out there.